Welcome to Black History Monday, the show that takes you on a journey through Black history to expose our contributions, as well as many racial massacres hidden from history. So sit back, free your mind, and follow me on this journey. New Orleans Massacre of 1866. Only 1 year after the Civil War ended, Republicans in the state of Louisiana were looking to give newly freed black men the right to vote. They went so far as to call a convention, trying to get it enshrined in the state constitution. The main reason for this was that the white voters, many of them Democratic Confederate veterans, were continually passing racist laws which would substantially reduce the black citizens of the state to a status akin to slavery. On July 30th, 1866, the convention commenced with hundreds of Confederate veterans serving as emergency police officers and dozens of black men, many of them Union veterans, marching through the streets in support of the proposed changes. As tension continued to grow between the two groups, a shot rang out. Armed to the teeth and better prepared for violence than their counterparts, the white mob began attacking the black marchers. Lucien Jean-Pierre Capla, a witness to the violence, later recalled, "I saw the people fall like flies." Capla and his son were both brutally attacked, suffering devastating wounds. The federal troops finally showed up. More than 40 black men were dead, with over 100 wounded from the fighting. The riot took place outside the Mechanics Institute in New Orleans as black and white delegates attended the convention, which was called the Louisiana Constitutional Convention. The convention reconvened because the Louisiana state legislature had recently passed the Black Codes and refused to extend voting rights to black men. Also, on May 12, 1866, 4 years of Union Army-imposed martial law ended, and Mayor John T. Monroe, who had headed city government before the Civil War, was reinstated as acting mayor. Monroe had been an active supporter of the Confederacy. A delegation of 130 black New Orleans residents marched behind the U.S. flag toward the Mechanics Institute. Mayor Monroe organized and led a mob of ex-Confederates, white supremacists, and members of the New Orleans police force to the Institute to block their way. The mayor claimed they intended to put down any unrest that may come from the convention, but the real reason was to prevent the delegates from meeting. The delegation came to within a couple of blocks of the Institute and shots were fired. The group was allowed to proceed to the meeting hall. Once they reached the Institute, the police and white mob members attacked them, beating some of the marchers while others rushed inside the building for safety. The police and mob surrounded the Institute and opened fire on the building, shooting indiscriminately into the windows. Then the mob rushed into the building and began to fire into the crowd of delegates. When the mob ran out of ammunition, they were beaten back by the delegates. The mob left the building, regrouped, and returned, breaking down the doors and again firing on the mostly unarmed delegates. As the firing continued, some delegates attempted to flee or surrender. Some of those who surrendered, primarily blacks, were killed on the spot. Those who ran were chased as the killing spread over several blocks around the Institute. By this point, both the rioters and victims included people who were never at the Institute. African Americans were shot on the street or pulled off of streetcars to be beaten or killed. By the end of the massacre, at least 200 black Union War veterans were killed, including 40 delegates at the convention. Altogether, 238 people were killed and 46 were wounded. Family, as we take this journey together, you will learn as I learn. This sets dangerous precedents because these acts have been happening since the very origins of this country. The racists hate us, and you most likely will not change their minds. Some white people will get offended by these videos, but that's not my intention. But the right question is, why are you offended when the atrocities happen to our ancestors and they keep happening? Next week, Monday, we will continue on this journey as we walk through the doors of history. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Click the notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload new videos. Find The Awakening Frequency on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Research is key. Always do your own research and never just listen to what people tell you. We are The Awakening Frequency. Out of the millions of potential subscribers, we just want to reach one so each one can teach one. Peace.